Today is a great day to talk about writing. If you're anything like me, over the past few weeks, your news feed has been filled with stories of sentient AI falling in love with reporters, expressing desires to become a real boy like a Technokio, or musing about how it could destroy society. It feels like the Matrix is finally here. As a past middle school and high school English teacher, my interest was immediately piqued. What is this ChatGPT? What is Bing? What do you mean it can generate text? It can express ideas and thoughts? Well, in a word, no, it cannot. As a past teacher, I have to admit, I have felt like the sky is falling when I first heard the news about ChatGPT. I fretted and worried. This will be the thing that finally sings the death knell for writing instruction. Why should students bother how to learn to write now? The plagiarism! But the more I thought about it, once I calmed down, I realized that generative AI can be used in the classroom to make writing more meaningful, deepen instruction, and raise expectations. What these new generative technologies can do, and honestly do relatively well, is combine information it has access to from across the web, organize it into a mainly coherent whole, and make sure the spelling and grammar are correct. Well, it can compile information I now call sometimes correct, but sometimes absolutely not. So, with that in mind, I think we should all take a deep breath, a step back, and remember that there are still important aspects of writing that need to be taught, assessed, and amplified so we create a generation of 21st century problem solvers, not information regurgitators. Let me present a way to think about how generative AI and large language models can be used in the classroom. Quite honestly, I think it can be used to raise expectations. It's been time for student writing to evolve from information sharing to problem solving and knowledge building. I think if we shift to problem solving and knowledge building expectations for students, we will move students beyond the boundaries of generative AI. One of my favorite tech columnists, Kevin Roos from the New York Times, recently talked about his experience with Bing, a search engine combined with generative AI. He asked it to write a dinner plan for a vegetarian dinner party, create a grocery list, sort the grocery list by grocery store aisle, and provide the amounts to buy for a party of 8. Immediately, according to Kevin, Bing sent him a full menu organized by grocery store aisle and provided quantities he would need to buy for each thing on the menu for a party of 8. I actually served the arugula and avocado salad at my own brunch last week, and it was delicious. This is an example of generative AI that speaks to its promise and how it can do some of the writing labor that we probably don't need to. However, generative AI cannot think deeply or get into the important nuance we want students to have to think about and think through. For example, I asked ChatGPT to explain why society should not have stop and frisk laws. Stop and frisk laws have a history of being contentious and conversation starters in the United States, both for their legality and their morality. This is the response I got from ChatGPT. Stop and frisk laws, which allow law enforcement officers to stop and search individuals based on reasonable suspicion of criminal activity, have been a topic of controversy and criticism for several reasons. Here are some of the reasons why society should not have stop and frisk laws. 1. Violation of civil rights. 2. Racial profiling. 3. Ineffectiveness in reducing crime. 4. Potential for abuse of power. Overall, the potential drawbacks of stop and frisk laws outweigh any potential benefits they may provide. They have been criticized for violating civil rights, perpetuating racial profiling, being ineffective in reducing crime, and having the potential for abuse of power. As a result, many advocates and organizations have called for the repeal or reform or stop and frisk laws. Now, while these are all points I can agree with, ChatGPT did not provide any sources, did not use any appeals to ethos, or portray a picture of the real human impact of stop and frisk laws on individuals or communities. Not only did ChatGPT not really actually do the task, but the response is so surface level, it almost loses all meaning. The AI did give me information, but it's missing real knowledge. The impact of such policies on an individual or a community, a robust examination of the ethical issues that arise from such policies, the human connection that pulls in the ethos of such policies. Essentially, ChatGPT stopped short of making the writing meaningful or real to people in real communities living with stop and frisk policies or those in communities thinking about enacting them. Now, at the same time, if a student was answering the same prompt, I would say those first 4 points are actually a really good place to get started. They can be one of the first steps in determining what actual research needs to be compiled, read, and critically examined, what policies need to be examined, the impact of racial profiling on real people, case studies. In essence, the AI is a good starting place to create some fire starter ideas that spark the writing in a way that's grammatically correct. Well, what do I mean? The first draft generative AI created can be used in the classroom as a fact, miss, or disinformation checking exercise. I've heard stories of how some responses people have gotten from ChatGPT have just been wrong. So we know we live in an area, in a space where we want students to have the ability to check for accuracy of information. ChatGPT provides us a way to do so. And instead of focusing on mastering the formula of the 5 paragraph essay, which is essentially what ChatGPT gave me, I think ChatGPT and other generative AI large language models can be used to change classrooms so that the writing and discussion are focused on research, critical thinking, discussion, revision, expansion of idea, communication, collaboration, and problem solving in a multimedia world that uses infographics, digital art, audio, and video as a part of the writing. So, what does that mean? It means that ChatGPT and other large language models are challenging educators to do better in our classrooms, in our instruction, and on our assessments. We now can create writing communities in classrooms where students are collaborating on complex problems across disciplines and coming up with innovative, progressive, and robust solutions that pull from different content areas. We can finally give planning and revision, the two most critical stages in the writing process, extended time and attention. We can rethink the tasks and prompts in classroom and on our assessments so they move beyond information sharing, like explain how the author develops a central theme or idea, or argue whether or not school uniforms are a good idea, to tasks like work in a team to research and write a policy brief that explains how psychology, sociology, biology, and environmental science can work together to address the train derailment in Palestine, Ohio, so residents feel safe living in their homes and drinking the water from their taps. Also, just so you know, I asked ChatGPT to do the last one. It didn't do a very good job. It actually did a pretty bad job, I would have graded it a C if it were a student in my classroom. Even with ChatGPT and other generative AI, the core human things about writing remain the core human things about writing. Writing has very real and profound benefits for each individual writer. Ask anyone who journals regularly. Writing is deeply personal. It helps people understand themselves, their complex worlds, their communities, and their identities. Writing is also the space where thinking happens. Writing is the space where students make sense out of science, sociology, social studies, English language arts, and mathematics. Writing is where the content crystallizes for them and begins to make sense. Many a student with a problem has found themselves unstuck after writing about it. So I am excited to rise to the challenge that ChatGPT has presented to my community of educators, and I'm encouraging us to look for the opportunity that ChatGPT presents in expanding student thought, strengthening and raising expectations, and deepening student understanding so they're able to collaborate and write in a way that solves complex problems, the kind of problems they will undoubtedly face once they graduate.